You are walking under the brutal heat of the African sun. Everything seems normal until you are forced to drop down and move on all four limbs. Within minutes, your wrists scream in pain. Your breathing suffocates under your own body weight. And you realize you cannot see over the tall grass. For 99% of human history, standing up wasn't a choice of posture. It was the thin line between surviving the day and going extinct. Welcome to the African savanna, around 4 million years ago. A landscape where everything is hungry, and you look like an easy meal. If you try to run on all fours right now, a prehistoric predator will catch you in seconds. You are clumsy, slow, and completely blind. So, what do? You do the most bizarre, risky thing a primate could ever attempt. You lift your front limbs off the ground. You stand up. It feels unnatural. You are wobbly, balancing your entire body weight on two small platforms of bone and flesh. In the animal kingdom, bipedalism or walking on two legs is a terrible idea. It exposes your soft organs and makes you dangerously unstable. Almost no other mammal walks like this permanently. For legs offer speed, balance, and power. Two legs seem like an evolutionary joke. Yet, this awkward, teetering stance is the single most important physical transformation your ancestors ever made. It is the foundation of humanity. Without this exact posture, you would never have freed your hands to hold a tool, light a fire, or type on a smartphone. But this superpower did not come for free. The shift from 4 legs to 2 required a brutal remodeling of your entire skeleton. To understand why nature forced you to stand up, you have to look at the world your ancestors left behind. The lost world. Before the open savanna, early hominids lived safely high up in the dense canopy of prehistoric African forests, swinging from branch to branch. Up there, you had food, shelter, and safety from the monsters below. But then, the global climate began to shift, and the trees started dying. Around 6 million years ago, the earth cooled. The lush African forests shrank, replaced by vast, unforgiving grasslands. Your ancestral home was dying. You were forced out of the safety of the trees. When your feet touched the dry earth, you entered an alien and dangerous world. Down here, the grass is taller than you. You cannot see over it. But you can hear the rustling of things moving nearby. Giant predators rule this landscape. Saber-toothed cats and massive cave hyenas are designed to kill. You have no claws, no fangs, no armor. On all 4 limbs, you are a sitting duck. To survive, you must stand up on your hind legs just to see the danger. For decades, scientists believed this was the main reason you stood up, to peer over tall grass and spot predators. The savanna hypothesis. But modern archaeology tells a more complex story. Standing up occasionally to look around is one thing. Walking permanently on 2 legs is another. The real crisis was not just predators. It was food. In the forest, your next meal was always in the tree right next door. But on the open savanna, food sources are scattered across miles of dry land. You have to travel immense distances just to eat. Walking on 4 limbs like a chimpanzee is fine for short sprints. But over long miles, it is a metabolic disaster for your body. If your ancestors traveled these vast distances walking on their knuckles, they would burn through all their calories and starve to death. So, natural selection presented a brutal choice. Find a way to travel farther, using less energy, or go completely extinct in the tall grass. Your ancestors began to change. The pelvis reshaped to support internal organs. The spine bent into an S shape to absorb shock. Your big toe lost its grasping ability, aligning with the other toes to push off the ground. You were built to move forward. You took a step into the unknown. But how much energy did this bizarre upright posture actually save? The answer will shock you. Walking on 2 legs did not make you faster. A cheetah or a saber-toothed cat could easily outrun you in a sprint. But evolution was not preparing you for a sprint. It was building you for the ultimate marathon across the vast, food-scarce savanna. To understand this, biological anthropologist Herman Pontzer conducted a groundbreaking study comparing human energy use with our closest relatives, the chimpanzees. Researchers put both humans and chimpanzees on treadmills, carefully measuring every ounce of oxygen they consumed and every calorie they burned. The results were absolutely staggering. When a chimpanzee walks on all fours, it uses a massive amount of muscular energy just to support its own weight. But your upright skeleton works differently. Your legs act like a swinging pendulum, using gravity to carry your momentum forward with almost zero effort. By simply standing up, your ancestors reduced the energy cost of moving by an astonishing 75% compared to knuckle-walking apes. In the harsh reality of the prehistoric savanna, saving calories meant the difference between finding your next meal and starving in the dust. This caloric cheat code allowed you to travel 4 times farther on the exact same amount of food. Your territory expanded massively. But nature rarely wastes a surplus of energy. Now that your body was not burning all its fuel just to walk, something else could grow. This massive energy saving was one of the crucial first steps that eventually allowed your body to fuel a larger, much more demanding brain. So, the most advanced organ in the known universe owes its existence to a simple, slightly wobbly change in how you place your feet. You could now walk for miles across the open grasslands without starving. But a new, terrifying threat was waiting for you from above. Out in the open, away from the forest canopy, there is no shade. The African sun is an unblinking eye of pure, deadly heat. If you stayed on all fours, your body would literally cook from the inside out. Standing up just saved you from a fiery death. The open savanna is a furnace. Without the forest canopy, the midday sun beats down on the earth, turning the ground into a baking oven. To solve this mystery, physiologist Peter Wheeler proposed the thermoregulation hypothesis. He realized that standing up was the ultimate ancient air conditioning system. When you walk on 4 limbs, the sun hits your broad back and torso directly. You are absorbing massive amounts of deadly solar radiation. By simply pivoting your body upright, you reduce the surface area exposed to direct sunlight by an incredible 60%. Only your head and shoulders catch the rays. This simple shift in geometry meant your body absorbed significantly less heat, preventing your internal organs and your growing brain from literally cooking. But the sun above is only half the problem. The dirt below radiates intense heat, creating a boiling layer of air near the ground. Standing on 2 legs lifts your vital organs and your brain out of this boiling zone, placing them in cooler air higher up. Up here, a few feet above the grass, you can catch the passing breezes. The wind hits your chest and helps cool you down. Combined with the slow loss of thick body fur and the development of millions of sweat glands, you became a master of temperature control. This gave you a terrifying advantage. During the scorching midday heat, massive predators like saber-toothed cats were forced to rest in the shade. They could not hunt without overheating. But you could. You could keep walking, completely immune to the deadly temperature that paralyzed the savanna. Bipedalism was not just about saving calories. It was the ultimate survival multi-tool, allowing you to conquer the most hostile environment on Earth. But how do we actually know that your ancestors walked exactly like this? How can scientists prove a posture from millions of years ago? Bones can tell us a lot, but they rarely capture a living moment. To see them walking, we need a miracle of preservation. That miracle happened around 3.6 million years ago. A volcano erupted, covering the ground in soft ash, waiting for a family to walk by. The ash cooled into a soft gray blanket. Your ancestors, a small family group, walked across this muddy volcanic plain, leaving a trail of deep footprints. Fast forward to 1978. Paleoanthropologist Mary Leakey and her team brushed away the dirt in Litoli, Tanzania, revealing these exact same footprints perfectly preserved. The tracks showed a deep heel strike and a strong big toe pushing off. There were no knuckle marks anywhere. They were walking exactly like you. Looking at these 3.6 million year old tracks, scientists saw more than just anatomy. They saw a quiet, vulnerable moment of an ancient family walking together. But standing upright gave your ancestors something even more valuable than cooling down or saving calories. It gave you the ultimate biological weapon, free hands. When you walk on four limbs, your hands are trapped serving as feet. They are constantly busy just holding your heavy body weight against gravity. The moment you stood up, two limbs were permanently lifted off the ground. Suddenly, your hands were completely free to interact with the world around you. Anthropologist Owen Lovejoy proposed the provisioning hypothesis. He suggested that free hands allowed you to gather extra food and carry it back to your vulnerable children. You no longer had to leave your infants clinging dangerously to your fur. You could gently carry them in your arms, traveling longer distances safely. This was supported by the famous fossil named Lucy, an Australopithecus discovered by Donald Johanson. Her skeleton proved she walked upright while still retaining ape-like features. With free hands, you began picking up rocks. A simple heavy stone became an extension of your arm, capable of cracking open tough nuts or bones. You could now hold a sharpened wooden stick. Suddenly, you were no longer the weakest prey on the savanna. You could defend your family against predators. Eventually, those free hands allowed you to strike two stones together to create a spark. You mastered fire, cooked your meat, and fed your growing brain. A massive evolutionary loop began. Walking upright freed your hands to make tools. Better tools meant better food. Better food built a much larger, smarter brain. You became the most intelligent, dominant creature on Earth. But nature demanded a terrible price for this upright perfection, and it was about to break your spine. You survived the harsh savanna. You tamed fire, built tools, and created civilization. Now, fast forward 4 million years to this exact moment. You are no longer running from predators. You are sitting in a chair, staring at a glowing screen under artificial fluorescent lights. You stretch your arms, and suddenly, a sharp, familiar pain shoots through your lower back. You probably blame your cheap office chair. But the chair is only half the problem. The real culprit is an evolutionary mismatch between your ancient skeleton and your modern lifestyle. For millions of years, your bipedal spine was engineered for constant, dynamic movement. Your ancestors walked up to 10 miles every single day. While walking, your S-shaped spine acts perfectly as a spring, absorbing shock. But when you sit still for 8 hours, everything collapses. Sitting in a chair forces your pelvis to tilt backward, completely flattening the delicate lower curve that nature worked so hard to build. Without that natural curve to absorb the pressure, the massive weight of your upper body crushes directly down onto your lower spinal discs. This anatomical design flaw is exactly why over 80% of modern humans will experience severe, debilitating back pain in their lifetimes. You are taking a delicate, hastily modified suspension system meant for endurance walking, and forcing it into a completely unnatural static posture. And it is not just your back. Your knees, hips, and foot arches all begin to deteriorate when you stop moving and start sitting. The biological superpower that allowed your ancestors to conquer the world is now slowly breaking down inside a sterile, modern office cubicle. Remember, natural selection does not care about your comfort today. It only cared that your ancestors survived long enough to pass on their genes. So, the next time your lower back aches after a long workday, do not just curse your bad posture or your desk. You are feeling the echoes of a brutal evolutionary compromise. A biological receipt handed to you from 4 million years in the past. Evolution never aimed for perfection. It only cared about what worked just well enough to keep you alive until you could reproduce. Your body is not a flawlessly engineered machine. It is a messy, beautiful patchwork of compromises built on top of an ancient ape. But this flawed, wobbly, S-shaped structure allowed your ancient ancestors to outwalk the deadliest savanna predators and survive the harshest global climate shifts. It gave you the free hands necessary to carry your helpless infants, strike stones into tools, and eventually master the power of fire. And most importantly, it saved enough energy to fuel the massive, energy-hungry brain that eventually allowed you to build the modern world. So, when you sit in a chair for 8 hours a day, you are fighting against 4 million years of hard-earned biological engineering. Your lower back pain is not a medical mystery. It is your ancient skeleton crying out for the constant movement it was designed for. To honor this incredible biological legacy, you must do the one thing your ancestors did best. You simply need to get up and walk. Every single step you take is a testament to the greatest survival story ever told. You are a walking museum of evolutionary history. Underneath your modern clothes, your bones remember the tall grass, the scorching heat, and the terrifying monsters that forced you to stand tall. The next time you look in the mirror, remember the incredible sacrifices made by those early hominids who left the safety of the trees. They stepped into the open unknown, leaving their footprints in volcanic ash, so that one day you could reach for the stars. It was a dangerous, painful, and incredibly messy biological transformation. But without it, humanity as we know it simply would not exist today. You are the final product of millions of years of struggle, adaptation, and an unwavering will to keep moving forward against all odds. You are no longer walking under the brutal heat of the African sun. But every time you stand up, you carry the entire weight of human evolution.